Okay, hello. My name is Chris. I am an expat living in Cambodia. I also do digital marketing for fun. I was previously a chief technology officer at an ad agency in the States and retired or whatever I did. Now I do consulting on the side, but mostly I just talk about a bunch of random stuff. So anyway, today I want to be talking about marketing and performance stack that it was brought up by this guy, Gustavo. Super smart guy. We agree a lot on our theories of how marketing should be and data driven. He has like no followers on Medium. You should go follow him. But he basically outlines everything that I feel just in a much better way. So anyway, but I'll go ahead and explain it. So the biggest problem in marketing right now is there's this ever-changing digital landscape, and users have their conversion path is littered across all sorts of different domains and platforms and everything like that. And a good example was just today, I was looking for a VPN so that I could watch HBO Go from Cambodia because I want to watch Game of Thrones. And so I was searching for a good VPN service. I like to use Reddit for my recommendations, so I searched Google for a good VPN service, and then I went to Reddit, and then Reddit had a recommendation for like this guy linked to we're building a desk outside, by the way. Anyway, so linked to a blog, top 10 VPNs or whatever. I picked the top one, so that came from a blog. And then that led me to like a dead link about that VPN. So I just re-Googled it and eventually got there. But like, really, who should be attributed of where, was it the Reddit post that got me to download it? Was it the blog? It was a combination of all those things. It's a very complex thing to understand because you want to we just make it complicated. Anywho, the key, a lot of marketers tend to ask the wrong questions, in my opinion. They tend to ask questions about how is this platform doing, like Facebook versus Twitter, or how is my campaign doing, like the one on the $10 off or the brand one, and I like to instead adopt a more user-centric approach. I like to understand who my users are first and then know how to market to them. So the question that I start off with is, how do I understand who each of my individual users are and how they're behaving and interacting with my brand? Because once you do that, you can really, it's more engaging. In today's day and age, because you have the ability to reach users at such intimate levels, you don't necessarily need to be shotgunning your brand all over the place and just, best Mexican food. You have a niche and you can probably carve it out, and what you don't need every user, you just need 10% of the users, and have them be highly converting, and those brand loyalists really are all you need. 80-20 rule in business, blah blah. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. So let's go over this thing at a high level. I will probably break this down into parts, and so I will talk about each of these steps in a more intimate level. If you subscribe, I will or leave a comment, tell me that you want me to do that, or which section I should go over. I'll do that. Anyway, but the key with this performance stack is that you want to understand who each user is on a one-to-one level. And so how do you do that? So first thing, what I usually start off with is down here, the universe of users. So the conversion data. This is your mobile web, desktop, and mobile app on site. So if you have a website, maybe you have a mobile version of your website, maybe you have an app, whatever those. But how your users are interacting on your online portions is how you get a large majority of this data. So this is Google Analytics. This guy. Gustavo uses a series of BigQuery, like a Criterio, some third parties, Newstar, which is considerably expensive. This is this pixel here. It just helps understand conversion data, really. Newstar, I reached out to them for a quote, and they said their annual starts at $300,000 a year. Quite expensive, but apparently really good because Newstar is the one that does this whole bit. But let me go back to this conversion data. So this is just how users are getting to your site. This is basically all Google Analytics. How people, influencers, and other social media. So they have events. Maybe someone's coming from Instagram, and that goes into your database here. This is email. You know, if they click into your website, maybe they go this way, or email a direct to conversion, something. This is all Google Analytics. Paid search, blah blah blah. There's plenty of blog posts out. I'll find some and I'll link it in the description about how to set up your Google Analytics correctly and how to understand how each of these inbound users are coming, from media measurement to site pixels. Site pixel is interesting. Gustavo chooses to use a third party for this called Newstar. It's considerably expensive. We didn't do that at my agency. We just built our own form of a pixel, which was really using Google client ID, which again I will link to in the description. Basically, every user that goes throughout the internet has a cookie, Google client ID, and that follows. You know, if you're logged into Google Chrome, it follows you pretty well. If you are logging into sites using your Gmail, it follows you pretty well. So there's a lot of ways. All that to be said, you want to be able to break down your users into single users, not just we got 1,000 visits to this page. You want to know that we got one user came twice, this user came 3 times, blah blah blah. So that's what all this is. This is basically getting all your traffic into this data warehouse. And what we're going to try and do is identity resolution multi-touch attribution model. So this is a lot of math, because we litter our identity throughout all these platforms all over the place, right? So you might use the same email on Facebook as you do the login to the site. You might use the same phone number across everything. You might use the same profile across everything, profile picture. There's a lot of data that we the same cookies, whatever we do. We basically put all that data into this warehouse, and we use an identity resolution multi-touch attribution model, which is a fancy way to say we let AI handle that and try and determine if a single user is a single user, or tie that identity into a single user. This is significant because at my agency we were doing this as humans for a long time, and you can get pretty close, but there are just wide gaps in truly understanding multi-touch attribution. And I have a blog post about this, about how we should actually stop caring about it because it's very difficult to do, and AI is much better suited at tying all together all these loose bits of information and saying this is actually one user. Because ultimately, if you were using Facebook and you had your location in California, but you're currently living in New York, your location would be New York, and so that would make this human think that, oh, it's not the same user because they're in different places, but you really are. And so, blah-de-blah, the closely guarded secret, and $300,000 dollars a year annually is that algorithm, and being able to do that. Once you get that, though, it really unlocks some powerful options, because you can deploy ads, personalized ads, or personalized experiences on a one-to-one level. So I really like a good margarita and fancy guacamole. When I search for best Mexican, that's exactly what I want, and you can deploy ads that cater to my needs exactly, rather than just best Mexican near you with guacamole, and you put that over 100 users. You can do one-to-one. It's best to think about it kind of like when you log into Amazon and you have personalized recommendations for you. They're able to do that because you have an account with them, and they automatically track everything within their platform. But what we're trying to do as marketers is achieve that same sort of hyper personalization in ads and landing pages, but resolving that identity before a user actually creates an account, right? So, kind of gathering in all this other stuff. The other thing that we do here on the right is dump more data into this identity resolution model. So we've got online display, video, paid search, paid social, email. Usually you use some sort of third party for this, so you just get all that data, throw it in there. We use Python there to do auto scripts. Then there's offline index. This is if you have like a POS system that is offline exclusively and it dumps maybe just CSVs or whatever. You try and automate that as best you can, and you dump that into the identity resolution as well. So a good example would be, let's say you're at you're a farmer's market and you collect all this on a little Excel sheet or whatever, and you've got the first name, last name, phone number. The phone number might be the same phone number that someone uses in their login here, and so that resolves itself here. So anyway, yeah, I'm trying. So that's this offline index. Once you have all that, then you get some pretty cool abilities here where you start using display and search and Facebook ads. You start deploying stuff and real-time personalization across all this stuff, and you do emails and notifications and SMS, and you basically blast all your ads. But you're able to do it hyper granularly because you have one-to-one user identity resolution. And so there is a lot of strength there. I was going to try and keep this below 10 minutes. Now we're at 11. If there's any interest, I will go into more depth about how we did this at the Johnson Group. Again, we kind of had a little bit of differences here, but I can go over that. And we are rebuilding it now. Rebuilding it now. My YouTube is kind of a weirdness of a bunch of other stuff, but if you subscribe or follow me on Instagram or something like that, I promise to give updates. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.